Wednesday, October 29th. Big day. Big day. Today, mega cap earnings day. Today, Fed day. You're going to have from 2 o'clock until probably 5:30, maybe even 6 o'clock, a volatile market. So the fact that we're up in pre-market means nothing because everything can be wiped out in the afternoon. We'll go over, is this a bubble? We will also go over the Fed decision. Does it mean anything? It's already priced into the market. We'll go over alpha picks. There was an alpha pick up 30% yesterday, some crazy number. We'll go over a couple of others just to kind of bring you down that rabbit hole that I went. We'll go over Microsoft because there was some big news yesterday with Microsoft and OpenAI. We will go over Tesla. Is this a moment to expect Tesla to pop? NVIDIA approaching $5 trillion. They had an NVIDIA day yesterday. It was mic drop moment for many. And they announced a deal with Palantir, your favorite stock right there. What's next? Power. Is that going to be the next thing that pops? Because utilities, according to one bank, are undervalued compared. Nuclear blew up yesterday. We'll go over the name that was up 30% yesterday. October's watch list has some real winners so far. Not 100% winner. It's the first month in 2 months that I haven't had 100% winner. Month's not over yet, but I don't see 100% winner. Earnings yesterday. We will go over Seagate, ENPH, and one that I said that would pop is up 20%, 30% in pre-market, and PayPal. And we'll go over tonight's earnings with Microsoft and Google and Meta. Just first, if you like my kind of style, my kind of thing, join me live tomorrow on TrendSpiders. TrendSpiders either, I think we're going to be on Twitter. I think we're going to be on YouTube. I think we're going to be all over the place because they have a platform that kind of broadcasts all over. But it'll be tomorrow at about 4 p.m. Mike and I will be going over Apple and Amazon earnings. We will be showing you TrendSpider. And the sale on TrendSpider is still going on. It will go on past tomorrow. Just remember, even though I'll be on TrendSpider, you need to use Linktree to sign up for this service. Okay, linktr.ee/daily stock pick. TrendSpider up there, the top one. It is on sale. And remember, the key point of this sale is not necessarily the price. The prices are great. You're saving up to 55% off the regular. It's a pre-Black Friday sale, so this may even be better than what they're going to do on Black Friday. But it's under $100, which we haven't seen all year for the advanced tier. And why do I point people towards the advanced tier? Because I went over yesterday. Is it a fundamentals or is it a technical market? And I think you need both. And so for me, TrendSpider with the alerts, with Sidekick, which is AI, with all of the charting and the 4-hour algorithm that I'm able to do, it is just a better place for me not to be scared in this market because the next topic we're going to go over is this a bubble? I'll show you some charts. We'll look at some stuff. But the point is, if you don't know technicals, okay, and you don't know anything about charts, you get 52 trainings per year on this top plan. So you get one training per week. Split that up. Okay, say you're going to learn golf. You bought $1,000 golf clubs. You're still going to pay $75 an hour for a professional to teach you how to golf. Okay, here's the thing. You could pay $1,000 for TrendSpider for the year, and then you could pay $50 for the 52 trainings if you'd like. But here you go. You are paying less than $25 per training session for this service. And FYI, the actual golf clubs, the piano, whatever services you're learning, you get that included with that price. So it is a better deal than you will ever see on this. And again, it's going on for 2 more days. So let's look at, is this a bubble? Well, yesterday, Wall Street tagged 6,900. 7,000 on the S&P would have been thought to be a crazy number just 2 months ago. We've been in a crazy, look at the monthly chart, and I bring this up constantly because I thought we were going to see a pullback. Why? Because the indicators, the MACD, the RSI, they all say we are overbought. Sellers aren't showing up. Any dip that we've seen has been bought. April, you were up 1.7%. Okay, May, and I track QQQ, not at the S&P, not SPY. You can go and track SPY. Pull up a monthly chart of SPY. You haven't had a down month since March. And so August, seasonally weak, up 2%. September, seasonally weak, up 7%. October, seasonally weak, so far up 6%. And this article points it out. Okay, Andrew Hecht, Seeking Alpha analyst. The Fed will likely reduce the federal fund rates by another 25 basis points at today's FOMC meeting. Meanwhile, a trade deal between the U.S. and China later this week will reduce the market uncertainty, supporting further gains in leading stock market indices. Gold has corrected below $4,000 an ounce, and crude oil is back at $60 per barrel. The bottom line is the markets are embracing a bullish thesis as the end of 2025 approaches. However, the higher the stock market rises, the greater the risk of an eventual correction. Remain vigilant on risk-reward dynamics on all risk positions in the current environment, as conditions can change in the blink of an eye. That is your advice. Okay, this is coming directly from Seeking Alpha. It's coming directly from me. Do you want to go in and buy? You know, say you take 5%, you have 5% cash on the sideline. Say you have 10% and you want to invest 5%. Am I going out and buying QQQ, for the next year right now? No. You have mega cap earnings coming in this afternoon and tomorrow. You've got a Fed decision with no information because we are shut down in the government. You've also got a China deal that could come down. Again, it's risky. Make sure your risk reward is there. And at all-time highs, do I expect us to go higher in a year? Yes. Is it for sure? No. And you've got plenty of people out there who are saying, hey, there's a reality check coming. And Cathie Wood, no matter what you think of her, she is a genius financial economist. Okay, her fund, which did so well and propped her up into legendary trader status, the ARK funds, it is a thesis, and she has her thesis, and she has been more right than wrong. Her funds get shorted. Her funds are unfairly attacked. She is a genius, and she says, hey, a reality check is coming. This is one of the most bullish investors on high risk reward scenarios. So be aware of that. Don't pull out of the market. My theory is, hey, we're in a bull market until we're not. As long as we continue to go up, I'm okay with a 5, 10, 15% correction because I've got some cash on the sidelines and I've got cash coming in. Yes, I have new capital all the time, but I'm constantly trimming positions and raising that cash level so that I can buy the dip. Then you had Bill Gates come out, and this is a great interview. I only listened to like the first 3 minutes because I could care less about the rest of his take. But Bill Gates defines what he sees today. He thinks there's a ton of investments that will be dead end. So he thinks it's not a whole bubble. But if you're picking winners that have no revenues, Oklo is a great example. OKLO. Just go and look at the financials. They have no revenue. And I constantly bring this up. You can trade this one all you want. But a $19 billion market cap with no revenues, that's what Bill Gates is talking about here. And you can hold this one. You can trade it. You can do. But at some point in time, that bubble will burst and valuations will matter. I was listening to Dan Nathan last night about, the market's going to... That dude has been bearish since 2020. If you listen to him, You're up 5% in a market that has doubled in 5 years. So don't listen to that guy, but understand what you own and do your research and just know it. Ray Dalio says a risk AI market bubble is forming, but it may not pop until the Fed tightens. There is a word, a saying, don't fight the Fed. Okay? That's a big thing. As they start to lower rates, the economy starts to juice. And so if the Fed is continuing to lower, he's saying, hey, until the job market becomes bad, and we won't know the job market's bad because the government shut down. We're not getting numbers. So what do? Well, here's a Seeking Alpha article. Okay, I'm leading you down this story. Where is this bull market's second wave? This goes over it. Maybe the bubble bursts in a two-stage correction. This article uses charts to illustrate, and it's basically a formula for buy the dip. They warn that a news catalyst for this pullback that they're talking about will be sudden. So you're going to have to exactly know what you're owning. And if it's indexes and you're dollar cost averaging into indexes, guess what? You're doing the right thing. Because if you look at this monthly chart, you are in a bull market. It's not 2022 where we were, the Fed was raising rates and we pulled back. It's not 2008 where the housing crisis crashed. It's not 2000 where all of a sudden you went into a lost decade and 3 years you were down. It's not something like that. These are actual companies with good revenues. So where is the bull market's next run? Well, it's not in Fiserv. But before we go into this, I want to bring up, we know that today the Fed is going to reduce rates. It's priced in. And so we expect the market to go up, but they don't have data. And is that going to be something that Powell talks about? That could be volatility with the Powell. Remember, Powell's a lame duck here. Okay, at this point, his replacement most likely going to be announced before the end of the year. And FYI, that person will absolutely reduce rates. So when I say, hey, be careful, one of the things I'm being careful with is alpha picks. Okay, my alpha picks portfolio yesterday alone was up 1.41%. The S&P up 0.27, the Dow Jones up 0.38, NASDAQ up 0.77. So 1.41 may not sound like a lot for people who have Palantir over the last year that's up 100%, and that's like 80% of your portfolio. But again, in a regular market, 1.41% in a day, when the indexes are not up as much and you're outperforming, that's a lot. So how do you get alpha picks? Well, let's just go over some of the other things in alpha picks before I show you how to get there. But there was a stock yesterday, okay? Was March 2025. So just March of this year. The stock has returned 49% to this portfolio. It was up 30% yesterday, okay? I'm going to tell you what this one is. ARQT. Now, would I be in ARQT without alpha picks? Hell no, I wouldn't be in ARQT without alpha picks. Okay? The reason I'm in a biotech like this is because of alpha picks. This is not my realm, but let's juice it up a little bit by using TrendSpider with the 4-hour algorithm. Because here you go. 4-hour algorithm. Now, you see all of this. I started trading this based on the golden cross right there. I added more right here. You can see I'm way up. I've juiced this pick. And then today we get another cross up in the 4-hour algorithm at 25. Is that one I'm going to add to? I've got to look at this. Look, you just had this golden cross up right there. I've gone over this one in the past. In the Alpha Picks portfolio, you had 8 stocks yesterday that were up over 2% in one day. And by the way, in Seeking Alpha in Alpha Picks summary that they sent out yesterday for ARQT, there are an additional 10 companies in the portfolio reporting this week Find ones that are strong buys and find a strategy that works like this 4-hour algorithm. And the quant seems to know something. This is why Fiserv is up there. This one is down 40% in pre-market. So it's not all perfect. This isn't in the alpha picks, but I bring this up because I'd like you to get the premium and alpha picks bundle. And this is why. Because of the quant. Now, did the quant know something? Fiserv, it went to sell back here on August 28th. It was trading at 137. Okay? 137. Where are you today? $77. I repeat, it went to sell at 137. It saved you almost 50%. If you listened to the quant and said, you know what, I'm in this name. I'm not in this name, by the way. I am not in this name. I brought it up. Why? Because somebody told me, hey, this is a great financial one. And it was touted, and I went and looked at it. And I said, you know what? Not my thing. Not my thing at all. I didn't like this one at all. But it's not all perfect. It's not all perfect, okay? LRN, which is an alpha pick. It is an alpha pick. It's a top second half 2025 stock. This one is down 44% based on earnings today, and it is rated a buy in the quant. It's a little concerning. But here's the great thing about alpha picks. Okay, this is in the alpha picks portfolio. If you had this in your alpha picks portfolio, the current holding percentage is 0.84%. Won't kill you. So on a $10,000 alpha picks portfolio, say you've got $10,000 in there, 0.84% is less than $100. So when you're down 50% in LRN, let's go LRN right there. When you're down 44%, it's $40. That's the great thing about managing that portfolio. And here they outline it. Stride tumbled 38%. I think it was down close to 50. And they report it. It's bad. But if you have the bundle, again, you can research these stocks, not just buy them and see the alpha pick analysis, but you can go and find other analysis. Like this one that said, hey, hold it. It should be a hold. So again, the bundle is, but plus if you have the bundle of Seeking Alpha Premium and Alpha Picks, you get some great analysis. Like this, 4 stocks powering the 4th industrial revolution in 2025. Because FYI, we're in a data center build out. 4 of these are alpha picks. Don't discount the Seeking Alpha recommendation, the analyst recommendation. When you go to the quant and you look at something like POWL, okay, which is up 107%, by the way, in just 6 months. When you go and look at this, that Seeking Alpha analyst buy up there, that outperforms Wall Street as well. Not just the quant, but this one. So take a look at it and read those analysis. Again, it's why I like the bundle. And I love going to today's biggest movers right here and then seeing Teradyne, which I used to own. I don't own. It's up 22%. But JOBY Aviation. Okay, this one's a crazy. It's one of the top ones. And I said, this is interesting because they went into a partnership with NVDA yesterday. And then I scroll down here and I see soaring potential, why aggressive investors should take a closer look at JOBY Aviation. And I like it. And I read this article and I'm like, damn, I should buy JOBY. It went on a watch list. And I will keep an eye on it. And if I want to, because it's pre-revenue, I can trade it in the 4-hour algorithm. And you can see, it doesn't have me in right now, but you can see it had a 94% win right there. Got you in a couple of times, had a nice 20% win right there. And you've got earnings coming up. The MACD low, the RSI low. So I can trade it. And all of this stuff is published overnight. That's why I like it. And let's go over Microsoft. This is a top 5 holding for me. They have earnings tonight. This is huge. They altered their deal with OpenAI. It opens the door for more AI acceleration, but it also opens the door for Microsoft to benefit from OpenAI because they now own 27% of OpenAI. That's huge. Microsoft expected to post 15% rise in Q1 revenue, AI to take spotlight. That's the earnings look. But I will tell you, this is a long-term buy and hold for me. Now, the quant says it's a hold. Why? Well, valuation. But nothing has changed other than revisions in the past 6 months. And when you look at revisions, you can see 5 analysts are taking their earnings per share down. 1 is taking their revenue down. Do I expect that to happen? Not really. They just passed the $4 trillion market cap yesterday. $4 trillion. We talked about that one. FYI, that's a baby because NVIDIA's going for $5 trillion. But again, Wall Street says it's a strong buy. They have a price target of $621. You're trading at $545. Again, would I buy this before? If you don't own this one right now, there is no reason to buy this one before earnings. Absolutely no reason. Because when you look at this chart, you would have to be buying, I think at all-time highs. Let's see. Yeah, close to all-time highs. Back here, we went to 555 in July. So you're trading at 545. Your upside, $10 in the share. Why would you buy this today? But I'm not selling this one. I'm hoping that we get past that. But you can see the MACD is extended. The RSI is at 70. Again, going back to the bubble, if we had a nice little pullback, it's buying the dip. And then you look at Tesla. And this is what's interesting. Is it about to pull drivers from their cars in Texas? This goes over that they can. There's not a lot of regulation in Texas, by the way. That may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Seeking Alpha analysts say sell this one. Wall Street says hold it. The quant says hold. Again, Tesla at 460. Where's the upside? You've got to find upside in some of these. Now, you don't hold Tesla at 464 thinking, oh, it's a car company. No. This is all about, Adam Jonas put it out there. Our understanding is that there is no explicit regulatory approval required to pull drivers in Texas. A passive optical only AV system would seriously challenge the conventional thinking of many in the robo-taxi community. Tesla truly believes that the radar and LiDAR do not make its cars any safer. So this analogy of James Watt, he was the guy that changed steam engines. And if Tesla pulls their drivers, and it's just, I remind you, this is a vision-based, I used it yesterday, and it is fantastic. Would I trust it without a driver? No. Too many times it just makes dumb mistakes. So here's what I would do. I would take this one and I would trade it on the 4-hour algorithm. Why? Because it makes you almost as much as buy and hold. It was beating it for years. And during high volatility, the 4-hour algorithm will beat buy and hold. It's just a fact that I've traded this in the past very successfully. Now I'm buying and holding a small portion, but I hold it in XLY. And why am I afraid to buy and hold large positions? Because we've seen in the past, we saw Uber try full self-driving, killed somebody, boom, end of program. We saw GM try full self-driving with Cruise, killed somebody, boom, program end. Guess what happens the first time you have a crash with a driverless Tesla? You're going to see this stock drop. So I'm not trying to scare you out of this because the thesis on this one is they will work out in the end. And Elon bought $1 billion worth of this stock. So I believe in it. But am I going to just buy and make this a top 5 holding? No. XLY, which owns both Amazon, which I think is one of the best mega cap right now. XLY holds Amazon and Tesla at 41%. I'm perfectly fine with it. And we can go and look at the charting. XLY, 3 years, it's just under the S&P 500. 5 years, it's just under the S&P 500. 10 years, it's underperforming. But I'm okay with that. It protects me a little bit. It still makes me money. So I like it. Now, NVIDIA had their day. Just wow. It was huge. The stock for the first time pushed over 200, closed at 201, and it is up to 207 in pre-market. Huge milestone. Okay, this goes over everything that they announced. Quantum, AI factories, enterprise and security, robots in U.S. manufacturing, healthcare. They partnered with freaking Nokia, and Nokia took off 22% gain. Okay, we're going to have flip phones with Nokia chips in them. No, I'm kidding. But again, the biggest news, they partnered with Palantir. Add to it that, again, NVIDIA's in quantum, and I went over my quantum plays, Google and Microsoft. Now it's NVIDIA. Again, if the bubble's going to pop, it's going to be in those pre-revenue companies like the quantum computers and stuff. Add to it that, again, Trump and Xi are talking about Blackwell, and NVIDIA could get to 5 trillion. Now, I blame NVIDIA for hammering on my thesis that AMD was going to outperform them over the next year, because AMD, while it's doing great, NVIDIA is doing just as good. And I'm okay with that. You want to know why? I didn't pull out money out of NVIDIA to invest in AMD. Again, it goes to the thesis. There can be winners all around, and it's risk reward. I just thought AMD was going to outperform, so I started a position and I started adding to it. But where did I get that money from? It was Palo Alto Networks. And I want to point out, it was about a month ago. And you look at AMD, it's up 58%. Palo Alto's is up 10%, and 8.96. I'm okay with that. So I still have half of my position in Palo Alto Networks, and I have a new position in AMD. And by the way, how did I find that? It wasn't from fundamentals. It was taking this weekly chart of Palo Alto Networks and realizing that this 188 was my, hey, let's buy it underneath that. But that 200 was a resistance point. It hit it once in November 2024. It hit it twice in February 2025. It hit it again in June 2025. Pulled all the way back. And then it came back up there. And so I sold half my position. And when you look at this chart, that was the right thing to do. I didn't pull my money out of NVIDIA to put into AMD. I'm a big believer that these chip companies are still going to win. And what's the next one? Well, maybe it's AVGO. TrendSpider makes this assumption. Hey, look at that little dip. Is this the next bull run? Relative performance, 97.4. Is AVGO a buy? Well, let's go and look at it. This is Broadcom. I sold this at 170. Why the F did I sell this in April at 170? It's at 371 right now. Does it have some support up there? Well, let's go and look at it fundamentally. If we look at AVGO, Wall Street says it's a strong buy. They have a $392 price target on it. The only problem with the quant is the valuation. It's an F. Why? It's trading at 55 times forward earnings. But their growth is phenomenal. It's an A-, 28% revenue growth year over year. Let's just look at these. You can pull up Seeking Alpha and look at the peers. I'm going to edit these symbols, and I'm just going to put in AMD and NVIDIA. While I love Micron and I love Qualcomm, I don't care about those two. These are the three that I own in large chunks. Well, the AVGO, I owned it in a large chunk. I got rid of it. You can see AVGO, strong buy on Wall Street analysts. So is NVIDIA. NVIDIA has lower stuff, but let's go and look at the valuation of these companies. Okay? PE, 55 on AVGO. AMD is 65. NVIDIA actually has a lower PE than the other two. Then you look at revenue growth. AVGO 28%, AMD 27%, NVIDIA 71%. So again, where do you want your money? For me, it is AMD and it's NVIDIA. I don't have AVGO yet. But the reality is it may be AVGO. But power is going to be the key. This is something I need to try and get into. I need to gain exposure. Wells Fargo is saying, hey, utilities group is undervalued. Now I said, you know what? If the Constellation Energy, it's a great one. They added Constellation Energy to its best idea list for independent power producers. And I've been saying that Constellation Energy is the one. If I got into a utility, this would be the one that I would get into. It's just run too much for me to feel comfortable. Is it crazy to think that CEG is out of reach for me? Well, the quant says it's a hold. Nothing's really changed, and the revisions are bad. So I don't necessarily want this, but I went to Perplexity. I'm not going to give you this. You can do this yourself. I said, you know what? If I own VOO, the S&P 500, how much utility exposure do I have? Well, FYI, the number one sector in the S&P 500, 31.6% in information technology. Utilities, I don't have exposure to this because in the S&P 500, you only have 2.5% exposure. So utilities are one of the smallest sectors in the S&P by index weight, making them a defensive but relatively minor component of broad market portfolio. This is from Perplexity. The sector is typically comprised of utility operators, including electrical utilities, multi-utilities, water, gas utilities, and independent power producers. So get exposure to it. And I will tell you, what about this one? CIFR. Likely announce an AI co-location deal for Black Pearl's 300 megawatt. Mike Alfred, who has been more right than wrong and has done a great job in doubling many portfolios. He says, fade it at your own risk. CIFR, Cipher. Add it to a watch list. If you like the fundamentals on this, we just got to buy in the 4-hour algorithm. The 4-hour algorithm only wins 33% of the time. But look, that is a 233% gain it just got out of. Yes, this is hype. But you know what's not hype? It's nuclear. Nuclear stocks gain on U.S. government pact to build 80 billion of new reactors. We need more power. We need CCJ Cameco was up 23%. At one point, it was up 30%. And I'll quote from this article. It's not clear whether the government will finance any of the 80 billion itself. And a Cameco postman said that many details need to be finalized and the parties expect to negotiate definitive agreements to replace the current binding term sheet. You want an overreaction? That's an overreaction. Details haven't come in. So would I be buying this at this one at $107? No. I would be waiting for a pullback. Again, understand what you're buying. If we just go and look at CCJ, it has been on a run. Year to date, this one's up 108%. And it's not even ranked the highest in this one. LEU is the highest. UUU is the highest. You know, look at this one. 6-month performance up 416%, 334%, 248%. So this is a sector that has been flying. Now, October's watch list. This is a watch list that I put out October 1st, and I looked at it. I'll show it to you because we're now at the end of October. So I can show you exactly what we've been doing. And here's the total change. Okay? The best performing one, IREN. Up 36% since I published this list. The second best, BETR, up 30% since I published this list. Then you've got the 3 ETFs that I gave folks that were, biotech, up 12%. Then you had Hood, which I bought again, recently, up 8%. Well, 7%. I wrote 8, but UNH, which I said was a good one. 7%. Apple, which I said, hey, this is, we're going to have the iPhone. You should buy it in October. All the wait times are huge. Up 5.7. The risk reward on that one was great. Now, it's not all perfect. It's not all perfect at all. This whole portfolio, by the way, is up 6.14%. But the worst performance, Rocket, down 13%, FNMA, which was a YOLO, and one, SSRM, which I thought was safe. It's gold. But that one ran up so much that it needed a pullback. It's still got very good fundamentals, by the way. Over 1 month, you're down 10%. This one is pulled back, but it's still got great fundamentals. Wall Street says that it's $25 stock. Go and look at your chart. I'm not going to show you TrendSpider on this one, but I know exactly where it is on the chart. I own a bunch of it. Now let's go over some of the stocks yesterday on earnings that I actually liked. Okay, Seagate. They beat. They're up 7%. I like SanDisk better. SanDisk for me, S-A-N, let's see. I think it's 2 words. Is it 2 words? Let's see. I think it's S-N. SanDisk, there it is. SNDK. I didn't have the symbol ready, but I like this one. This one's up 6%. Again, you look at that little hockey stick that's going up. It's a good stock. Again, I think, to go back to Seagate, Western Digital, for all of this AI, you need storage. That's what's happening. The other one that I said that was going to be volatile at best was NVDA, down 11%. They didn't do shit. But the big one that I had mentioned, and I posted this yesterday. Hey, congrats to those that took the trade. I've been mentioning this for a while. Beating on earnings on a highly shorted stock, you're going to get a pump. And you're up 11% after being up 5% yesterday. It's Bloom Energy. Simple as that. This was up as much as 20% in pre-market. Now, PayPal, this is what's interesting. Yesterday in the chat, Eli posted the Stock Whisperer, and he's got a great write-up on PayPal before these earnings. 2 items for those who are seeking alpha portfolio, ARQT, wow, the earnings. TrendSpider, he used Sidekick to identify. By the way, Eli is great with AI. He used Sidekick to identify support and resistance. He didn't know. Hey, he said, I can't tell what's the support and resistance. He used it. Then on the 24th, he wrote on his Substack, this one, about PayPal. Well, PayPal pumped yesterday. Deal with OpenAI and their earnings, but they couldn't hold it. And I thought this was super interesting because I talk about gaps all the time. This gap looks like it's going to get filled all the way down, all the way up from 78 down to 70. It couldn't hold it. Now tonight, we've got Microsoft. I just went over how they are expected to see some growth. If we look at how it's trading in pre-market, we can look at a 5-minute chart here. It's just kind of, who's buying this right before earnings? And who's selling this before earnings? I mean, that to me just seems crazy. Then you've got Google. Google tonight. Let's look at the pre-market in this one. Because same thing. Who's buying and selling this one? I don't know. But we're seeing some weakness. And is it weakness based on just, hey, look at that weekly chart. It's running. And then you've got Meta, which I think is one of the best plays out there. Okay? I love this one. But the 50-day just crossed the 200-day. It hasn't done it on the daily. So officially, again, you look at this one on a daily, and then algorithms are going to start saying, oh, shit, we just got a death cross. It's what happened back here. But then, that's why it led down here. Oh, shit, we're going to get a death cross. It hastened all the selling. And you could have bought this in April like I did for $480. You're at $754. I love this stock. Why? The reason is founder-led. We know Zuckerberg is doing crazy things. It's going to be a question of how much did he spend and how much are they getting? I think they are going to lead AI. I think they will somehow figure a way out to do it. They're expected to beat Q3, driven by strong AI execution. I like this one. Wall Street thinks that it's worth $868. That's a 15% upside. The quant says hold. Why? The only reason I can assume this is a hold is the valuation. But when you look at the PEG ratio under 2, because their growth, 19% growth revenue year over year. I like this one. You can analyze it with AI, do whatever you want. This is a stock that I really like. And in the 4-hour algorithm, it wins 50% of the time. So did I add at that 718? No. I bought a bunch of this, and I'm talking a bunch back in April. And so I'm perfectly happy buying and sitting with that one, waiting to see what they earn. If I get a pump up to the 800s, I will think about trimming this one. Why? Look at this. If you just put a horizontal line at this previous high right here, 740, okay? We haven't moved. You're at 752. That 740 right there back in February, we haven't moved. You've been smart to buy at this previous resistance that turned into semi-support, not really support, but that's my best guess. So anything in between this 550 and 740, I've liked buying. I didn't buy it completely, but I've got a large enough position. Now remember, tomorrow I will be on live with TrendSpider on their YouTube page for Apple. I have outlined this. You see those yellow lines. I've outlined where I like this one. And then you're going to have Amazon, which I think is one of the best AI plays out there. If you look at this one has not moved. The rest of the Mag 7, they've done great things. This one, year to date, is up 5%. That I can't believe. Wall Street is waiting for this one to break out. They have a $267 price target on this one, but it can't get out of its own way. That 242 right there, that is the previous high in February. We haven't been able to get it past it. So I think it's going to be interesting. Again, are we in a bubble? I think in some cases we are, but in most cases, I still think you go up a year from now from where we are. So if you have any questions, again, everything's on Linktree. Remember, TrendSpider is on sale. Remember the bundle where you get premium and alpha picks. If you have any questions, even my email address is on Linktree. I will talk to you later. Bye.
Every morning I wake up to the sound of the trading bell. My heart starts to pound. Daily stock pick trading podcast in my ears, guiding me through my hopes and fears. Tune in daily, don't miss a single show. Sign up for the newsletter, let us help you grow. Taking risks, making moves, seeking success. Together we'll conquer, no room for any less. Every morning I wake up to the sound of the trading bell. My heart starts to pound. Daily stock pick trading podcast in my ears, guiding me through my hopes and fears.